What's going on, guys? Fun with Knives here. Got another knife review for you. This is the Kershaw RJ1. It is a discontinued knife. It took me a while to find, so if you guys do want one of these knives after watching this review, you might have to search around a little bit, but they're pretty cheap now that they're discontinued if you do find it. So this is a collaboration with Kershaw and knife designer RJ Martin. He designs all sorts of models for them. He's got some great customs, and the Volt series, this one, the RJ Tactical and all that. Those are all great offerings to Kershaw, even though they look pretty similar because his designs look just about the same to me. But I do like this knife, and I don't think they should have discontinued this knife because it fits kind of a cool bill that they don't really have in their 2016 lineup anymore. So I'll give you guys the specs on it and we'll get into it. This has a 3.5-inch blade, a 4.5-inch length closed, and then an 8-inch length overall, with a weight of 4.6 ounces. So a larger knife for sure. Not a very heavy one at this size, I don't think. It's got skeletonized liners and thick liners at that. So I like the way the knife feels in hand. It's not superb in pocket, but it's G10, which we'll talk about, and its ergonomics are great. So if we move towards this blade here, a lot of people might be stop watching right after I say this. This is bead blasted blade, if I can get that out. It is bead blasted 8CR 13 MOV, just that budget steel we've talked about a million times. It has a Tanto shape, obviously. Fairly thick blade stock, but it has a hollow grind that comes down to just a wicked edge. These are partially serrated now. I believe they made a couple that are just plain edge, but those are kind of like first production RJ1s, I think. So Kershaw Speed Safe is on the flat on this side, and then on the back side you just have the model number. So you do have kind of a dual purpose here with your sawing ability and then your penetrating ability. So not the best EDC shape and grind and everything like that, but it's functional. And I really like the way they carried out this Tanto. It's not overly thick at the tip. It's very pointy and it's shallow. So this knife, the angle at which the Tanto grind, a lot of them will come way out here where it's too steep to be a very good penetrator, and this definitely isn't that. So if we move to deployment here, it is speed safe equipped, so it has the assisted opening mechanism with either that flipper, which has no jimping on it, which is weird, and these ambidextrous thumb studs that do have some jimping on it, those steps to make you really grab the meat of your thumb there. And both work well. I do like the flipper better on this knife, but one negative to this RJ1 is that the speed safe isn't as fast as a lot of the other Kershaws I own. I might even be able to get this knife to fail if I don't see how slow it comes out. The speed safe isn't crazy fast unless you give a lot of force on the thumb stud. So I've had this knife fail on me if you just kind of gingerly press that flipper. But it's fast enough, I think. I'm not really worried about this knife not locking up when I want to use it. And that brings us to Lockup, which is a liner lock that is over traveling, you can see there. But these are very thick pieces of steel for the liners. So I trust this lock. It's very solid. It just is over traveling a little bit. So as you own and use the knife, I'm expecting this liner to get all the way over there, which is a little bit annoying, but it doesn't really ruin the functionality of the knife unless you're really going to hard use it and worrying about this metal warping enough to become unusable, which I do not plan on doing. And as I said, these liners are skeletonized a little bit on either side, but very strong for a liner lock. It's kind of, reminds me of that Ontario Rat that I just reviewed. But these are G10 handle scales, and they do have some 3D machining and are very textured other than the 3D machining. So this thing gives you very good grip, and you couple that with the ergonomics, and you kind of see that you have a finger placement area, choil for each one of your fingers. So this thing just gives you an excellent grip in hand. There's a little thumb ramp here. There's no jimping on that either, which is one of the only things that really bothers me on this knife, because if there was some jimping on this thumb ramp, I don't think I could drop this knife if I was using it. It's just way too solid in ergonomics and material. I love the G10 on this knife. The blade is fairly thick with its full stainless steel liners and thick slabs of G10 because they're kind of 3D. but it feels great in hand. We talked about this before, where if it feels better in hand, it's going to feel worse in your pocket. But this is closed construction. It's got a full glass-filled nylon or G10 backspacer. Blade centering is not very good because that liner lock is over traveling. It should be around there, but it's not. It's going to move over because the more that liner lock over travels, the more it's going to push on the blade when it's in a closed position. So be wary of that if you do find this knife and you do want one. And that brings us to this pocket clip, which is four-way no, I'm sorry. It's only 2 repositionable. It's for righties only. It is tip up and tip down. I do have it tip up as I carry most of my knives. It is that simple loop over clip that I love from Kershaw, but it carries super deep if you want to carry tip down. So you do get around a 1/2 inch sticking out if you want to carry tip up. So all in all, guys, I don't think they should have discontinued this knife. I really don't know why they did. A lot of their offerings this year, offering Zytel or glass-filled nylon handles, when G10 offers more traction and more durability. So you do get that. You get a long, well-designed Tanto blade with the serrations. A lot of people are against them, but I don't really mind them on this knife. And you get RJ Martin's design features that a lot of people like. That's why the Volt and those kind of knives have stuck around, and this one's just not going to be one of those, I guess. So this isn't one of my favorite knives, but I do recommend it because it is offered at a crazy price. Most places, we're talking 20, 25 bucks, and you're getting a lot of knife for that much money. Now, would I spend 30 on this? No, I don't think so. There's too many knives out there that cost 30 bucks that are better than this. But for the price, guys, I think you get a lot of utility and maybe tactical ability with this knife. And you can hear my speed shape shaking around in there a little bit because I haven't greased it in there. But thanks for watching, guys. I know there haven't been a lot of reviews on this knife anymore because it's so old. I think it's a couple years old in its release. Hasn't been around forever though. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, as I always say, and look for the discussion this week.